The police officer pulled me aside, his notepad flipping open with a practiced flick of his wrist. He looked tired, the red and blue lights of the cruiser reflecting off his glasses. "Son," he said, gesturing toward the ambulance where the paramedics were loading a stretcher, "I need you to tell me exactly what happened in those woods. I need to know why your stepsister was holding that rock." I looked over at the patrol car where Megan was sitting in the back seat. She wasn't crying. She wasn't screaming. She was staring right at me through the reinforced glass, a small, serene smile on her face, mouthing 3 words over and over again. "Just for you." Welcome back to the Wise Chronicles. Tonight, I have a story that delves into a very uncomfortable and terrifying reality: family obsession. We often hear about strangers stalking people, but what happens when the person obsessed with you lives down the hall? What happens when the person who wants to possess you is the one person you're supposed to trust as family? This is the harrowing true story of a young man named Ryan who realized too late that his stepsister's affection wasn't sisterly, it was a dangerous, violent hunger. So lock your doors, check your windows, and let's get into the story. My name is Ryan, and at the time of this nightmare, I was 22 years old. My parents divorced when I was 10, and my dad remarried a woman named Linda when I was 14. Linda had a daughter, Megan, who was the same age as me. At first, it was fine. We were teenagers, awkward, and adjusting to a new blended family. We went to the same high school, shared the same bathroom schedule, and fought over the TV remote. It felt like a normal sibling dynamic, but things started to change when we hit 18. Megan didn't go away to college, she stayed local. I went away for 4 years and only came back during holidays. Every time I came back, Megan seemed different, closer, too close. It started with the lack of boundaries. I would wake up in the morning at my dad's house to find Megan sitting on the edge of my bed, just watching me sleep. When I'd jolt awake, she wouldn't apologize. She'd just smile and say, "You looked peaceful." She would accidentally walk in on me in the bathroom. She would borrow my hoodies and refuse to give them back, wearing them every day, inhaling the scent of them when she thought I wasn't looking. My dad and Linda thought it was sweet. "Look how close they are," Linda would say, beaming. "Best friends." I tried to tell my dad, "Dad, it's weird. She's clinging to me." He'd just laugh and say, "Ryan, she looks up to you. Don't be mean to your sister." But she wasn't my sister. Not really. And the way she looked at me wasn't how a sister looks at a brother. It was the way a predator looks at prey. Or worse, the way a starving person looks at a feast. The breaking point began 2 months ago when I moved back home temporarily while looking for a job. I started dating a girl named Jessica. Jessica was great smart, funny, and totally unaware of the minefield she was walking into. The first time I brought Jessica home for dinner, Megan didn't speak. She sat across the table, staring at Jessica with a gaze so intense it felt like it could burn holes through her skin. She gripped her fork so hard her knuckles turned white. When Jessica went to the bathroom, Megan leaned over the table and whispered to me, "She's not pretty, Ryan. She has split ends. And her laugh is annoying." "Megan, stop," I snapped. "I'm just looking out for you," she said, her voice dropping to a low, possessive purr. "Nobody knows you like I do." Fast forward to last weekend. It was my dad and Linda's 10th wedding anniversary. They decided to throw a huge party at our house. Our house is pretty isolated, a big 2-story place that backs right up into a dense forest. They rented a tent for the backyard, hired a caterer, the works. I invited Jessica, partly because I wanted her there, but mostly because I needed a buffer. I needed a shield against Megan. The night started okay. The music was playing, people were drinking, and the backyard was lit up with string lights. It looked magical. Then Megan came downstairs. She was wearing a dress that was completely inappropriate. It was a bright red cocktail dress, cut way too low, way too short. It was the kind of dress you wear to a club to get attention, not to your parents' anniversary party. She had done her makeup heavily, red lipstick that matched the dress. When she walked out onto the patio, every head turned. But she only had eyes for me. She walked straight up to where I was standing with Jessica. "Hi, Ryan," she said, ignoring Jessica completely. She put a hand on my chest, her fingers trailing down my shirt. "Do you like the dress?" "I bought it for you." I stepped back, removing her hand. "It's a lot, Megan. This is Jessica. You remember Jessica?" Megan slowly turned her head toward Jessica. The look on her face was pure venom, masked by a fake, tight smile. "Oh, right," Megan said. "The temporary one." "Excuse me?" Jessica said, shocked. "Nothing." Megan giggled, grabbing a glass of wine from a passing waiter. "Just a joke. Cheers." She clinked her glass against Jessica's so hard that wine sloshed out onto Jessica's white blouse. "Oops," Megan said, deadpan, "clumsy me." Jessica was mortified. I need to go clean this up," she stammered. "I'll go with you," I said, glaring at Megan. "No, stay." Megan grabbed my arm, her grip surprisingly strong. "Mom wants to make a toast. Jessica knows where the bathroom is. Don't you, sweetie?" Jessica nodded quickly and ran inside the house. I ripped my arm away from Megan. "What is wrong with you?" I hissed. "Why are you being such a witch?" Megan's face crumbled. "Why did you bring her, Ryan? Tonight is about family. About us. Us, there is no us, Megan. We are siblings. We aren't blood," she shouted, causing a few guests to turn around. "We aren't related. That's just a technicality. I've loved you since I was 14, Ryan. Can't you see that?" I felt sick. Physically sick. Hearing her say it out loud made it real. The staring, the touching, the obsession, it wasn't in my head. "Megan," I said, my voice shaking with disgust. "You need help. I don't love you. I will never love you like that. You are my sister. That is it. Stay away from me and stay away from Jessica." I turned my back on her. I shouldn't have done that. I should have watched her. But I was so angry, I just wanted to find Jessica and leave. I went inside. Jessica wasn't in the bathroom. I checked the kitchen. I checked my bedroom. Nothing. I went back outside. The party was in full swing. Loud music masking everything. "Has anyone seen Jessica?" I asked my dad. "I think I saw her walking toward the woods," my dad said, pointing to the edge of the property where the tree line began. "Maybe she wanted some fresh air." She looked upset. A cold dread washed over me. The woods. It was pitch black out there. Jessica didn't know the property, and then I realized I didn't see Megan either. Megan. I scanned the crowd. The red dress was gone. I started running. I didn't grab a flashlight. I just ran toward the tree line, my heart hammering against my ribs. "Jessica!" I screamed. "Jessica!" The woods were silent. The music from the party faded as I got deeper into the trees, replaced by the sound of crickets and my own heavy breathing. It was dark, moonlight filtering through the canopy. "Ryan." I heard a faint voice. It was Jessica. "Jessica, where are you?" "I'm here." I got lost. I followed the voice. I pushed through a thicket of bushes and stumbled into a small clearing. Jessica was standing there, hugging herself, shivering. "Ryan, thank God," she said, taking a step toward me. I heard a noise and I got scared and... Before she could finish the sentence, a shadow detached itself from the darkness behind a large oak tree. It was Megan, but she didn't look like the girl at the party. Her hair was wild, her lipstick smeared across her face. She had kicked off her heels and was barefoot in the dirt, and in her hand she held a large, jagged rock. Magoo nitrogen monoxide. I screamed. It happened in slow motion. Magoo didn't even look at me. She lunged at Jessica with a feral snarl. She tackled Jessica to the ground. Jessica screamed, a high-pitched sound of pure terror that was cut short as Megan brought the rock down. Thud, she hit Jessica in the shoulder. Jessica scrambled backward, kicking, screaming, "Get off me, get off." Megan was on top of her, pinning her down. "He doesn't love you," Megan shrieked. "He belongs to me. You are just in the way." I threw myself at them. I grabbed Megan by the waist and hauled her off Jessica. She was strong, fueled by adrenaline and psychosis. She thrashed in my arms, screaming, clawing at my face. "Let me go. I have to fix it. I have to fix us." She swung the rock backward, hitting me in the ribs. I gasped. The wind knocked out of me, but I didn't let go. I tackled her into the dirt, pinning her arms down with my knees. "Run, Jessica," I shouted, spitting blood from a cut lip. "Run back to the house. Get Dad." Jessica scrambled up, clutching her bleeding shoulder, and ran blindly toward the lights of the party. Megan stopped fighting the moment Jessica was gone. She went limp under me. She looked up at me, her face covered in dirt and sweat, her red dress torn. She smiled. That same serene, terrifying smile she gave me when she watched me sleep. "I did it for you, Ryan," she whispered. "Now she'll leave. Now she knows she can't have you." "You're crazy," I panted, tears of horror stinging my eyes. "You tried to kill her. I was just removing the obstacle," she said, as calmly as if she were discussing the weather. "Love requires sacrifice." I held her there until my dad and the other guests arrived with flashlights. They found me crying, pinning my stepsister to the ground while she hummed a lullaby. The police arrived 10 minutes later. They arrested Megan. Jessica was taken to the hospital with a fractured collarbone and severe bruising, but she survived. Megan is in a state psychiatric facility now. She has been diagnosed with erotic delusion and severe antisocial personality disorder. She writes me letters every week. My dad intercepts them, but he told me what the last one said. It wasn't an apology, it was a promise. I'll be home soon, Ryan, and next time I won't use a rock. I'll make sure there are no obstacles left. I moved across the country. I changed my number. I don't talk to my family much anymore because seeing my dad reminds me of her. But sometimes, when I'm walking down a street and I see a flash of a red dress, or I smell that specific perfume she used to steal from the mall, I freeze. Family is supposed to be forever. But in my case, that's not a comfort. It's a threat. If you have a family member who doesn't understand boundaries, who looks at you with a hunger that shouldn't be there, don't ignore it. Don't let your parents laugh it off, because obsession doesn't fade away. It grows in the dark, waiting for the right moment to strike. Thank you for watching the Wise Chronicles. Stay safe, lock your doors, and be careful who you invite into your life, even if they are already in your house.